it's Don, the Nearly Historical Railroad channel. Dad Don over there. So today, to start with, we're gonna be working on the staging yard. Later on, I'm gonna show you some of the stuff that my dad has done on other places in the layout, some little updates here and there, so stick around for that. But we're going to try to do some wiring on this staging yard. In fact, my dad has already kind of started some stuff. Yeah, let me show you that, and then I'll show you what I'm thinking of doing, what my plan is right at the moment. All right, here's the backside of the yard. So my dad plugged a bunch of feeders through the yard there into these tracks, and he's got this new bus line. That's the thicker black and red wire there, and he just kind of ran them into these little terminal blocks, and he's gonna plug all those feeders into the terminal blocks, so that way we can easily kind of just add one track in at a time. So I think that's actually a great idea. And here is another set of feeders also. So again, all the tracks in the yard, they were just fed by the turnout way down at the far end down there. So we got to kind of change that situation a little bit. These all have feeders soldered on now. We can just connect them to the bus line as we go along. So each set of track leads in the yard will have 2 or 3 feeders on them. Now, what we've noticed is that on these turnouts, there's no gaps like in the frogs. So since we're hooking up feeders down the line to the right, that's gonna short things out when you flip the turnout. So I think we're probably gonna have to go and connect, or actually cut, gaps in all these turnouts. So this is near the end of the yard where you actually come into the yard, and there's this crossover. A little hard to see, but this crossover is cut off on that side. That goes to a whole other section of the yard. I'll show you in a second, and we probably won't get to that for a while. We'll probably get this all in place first. So what we're probably gonna do is we're just gonna probably hardwire this crossover and not worry about frog juicers and stuff at the moment. Just kind of hardwire it so you can go through the one direction, because you won't need the other direction for a while. So the other end of that crossover goes into this section of yard. So again, we probably won't get to this for a little while, so I'm not gonna worry about it too much at the moment. This also has a lot of the old switch machines. Okay, so the yard is underneath that part over there. Let me go tell you what my plan is for the moment. So my plan is to go through this and find all the feeders that are currently connected to the rail on the other side. This is the busy end of the yard with all the turnouts and stuff. I'm gonna find all those feeders, I'm gonna find them on this side, and I'm gonna cut them off with as much length of wire as I can leave and disconnect it from whatever they're connected to on this side. That way we can reuse the feeders. We don't have to solder them on, they're already there. So that will be a good start. And then maybe I'll flag them or something so we know where they are. I think my dad and I just decided that I think our goal is to get all the track powered up for DCC and working. And we're not gonna worry about signals and the power for signals and all that stuff. We'll just leave that de-energized. Later on, we'll try to figure out the signals, and maybe we might wanna change them up anyways. So right now, we just wanna get the track going. So I'm gonna go and see what feeders I can find and snip, snip. All right. So this is one I just goes up to the track, to the rail. So I put a blue tape on it, cut this off, cut another excess wire out that we're not needing, and I've come to this relay. And there's actually a note here that was folded up. I looked at it. It happens to be written on, well, paper from a calendar. And this is Monday, 13th, January 1986. So, it's gonna guess that's roughly the time this little relay was put in. So, tracked all the wires on this relay, debating to leave it or not, or what to do. Saw some connections that were a little close. I moved it over and the wire broke off. It's like, okay, fine. So, tracked all the wires. They either connect to themselves or they connect to rail on that crossover. So, I'm convinced all this, it's not running any signals. It's just running the frogs in that crossover. So, I'm gonna go ahead and cut it out. Yeah, it's going away. Know what the, there's also some stuff written underneath here. Give you a little bit of clue what's going on. Let's see what we've done. Here is all the wire and stuff I've taken out. So let's review a little bit. This control board we'll probably reuse, but the toggle switches on it will need to be changed out because they're on-off switches, and we need to put in double pole, double throw switches to be able to run the tortoises. But we'll probably take that out or reuse the board with different switches. Now, we took out this guy because we're going to eventually use frog juicers on the double crossover. And what else we got in the pile? So these toggle switches ran these switch machines. That's kind of a snap coil, but really it's just like it's either on or off. So we're trying to eliminate all of those. So that one I've pulled out completely. Now, these switch machines, you might actually have these on your layout. Those are like regular snap coil ones that just go back and forth, and it's probably perfectly fine. We actually tested it and it was working. The only issue we really have with it is that this was the power source for it. Again, it was working, but I think it's older than I am. And it's not real ancient, but it's getting up there. So I just felt more comfortable taking it out. And plus my dad already put tortoises in place of those. So I just went ahead and pulled all those off of that. Oh, check this out. Here's a nice power plug for you. How comfortable do you feel with that? Huh? Yeah, that was 110. Good times. So, I've pulled a lot of the wire out. Basically, anything that was feeding the track or a switch machine has been removed now. All the wiring that's left is either feeder wires that go up to the track, which I've put blue tape on, or wires that run signals or some kind of lights. So I kind of left that stuff in place. Again, we're not going to energize it, but I'm just leaving it in place for the moment. It took me a while to figure out what was feeding it. Finally, I figured out that these two wires actually feeds all those signals and that type of stuff. So again, we'll figure that stuff out later. So this is a lever on the top side, and it flips that little bean thingy, and that's what keeps it in one place or the other, and that flips the turnout. Now, you'll notice there's some electrical contacts on there. That runs signals. So that's why I've left that there. All of those actually work. A couple need to be adjusted, and one of them we got a big screw in the way because this board, we had to add this 1x4 in when we moved the layout to give it some strength. So eventually that will probably come back out. So we're probably going to just reuse these mechanical things because they work, they're working. So save some money on tortoises, and yeah, it's kind of fun, kind of old school. So here you'll notice they're a little busy, but this is where that crossover is. So there's some wires I'm leaving in there for the crossover stuff, and all the wires with the blue tape go up to rail. So they're basically feeders that we can reuse. So we're gonna keep that and probably reuse that stuff. And we're probably gonna have to add a bunch of feeders. So this transformer used to run track power here. The only thing coming off it right now is power that runs some of those relays that control the signals. It doesn't run power to the signals themselves, but just like 3 or 4 relays. Probably take that out at some point. But again, right now we're not gonna even turn it on. Still under the staging yard. So my dad has added more bus line. So this stuff here, he's put in. So that goes along down that way. I know it still looks like a lot of wire, but we took a lot out. And again, what's left is all signaling stuff. But yeah, there's that bus line, black and red wire, going all the way down that way. Now, for this next part, to identify these feeders, here's a cool trick I learned when I did the rest of the standard gauge layout. It's these T-pins, and I put a little tape on them. Fortunately, I can't find all of them, so I'm going to be using these. But these probably work better. Just don't know where they are. So I'm gonna go push these in, and then I'll show you what I'm talking about. Okay, so with the thumbtacks, what we've done is taken every feeder wire on this bottom side that I've decided we can probably repurpose because it's connected to the rail, and I've gone along the top side where those feeders connect and put pins in there. This way we can see where all the existing feeders are. These white ones, they go across the crossover, and in this case I use the yellows for frog wires and red for other wires. So that tells us what we have to start with. There's some others here. Now we know we got to add a lot more, but we just need to know what we have to start with. And there's amazingly very little feeder wires on this yard. So I wonder if it worked well or not. It's all kind of probably dependent on the points on the turnouts. So this is where the crossover is on the other side there. And I didn't put stick pins in where these wires come through yet, just because I actually want to get a wire tester and verify exactly which wire goes to what spot on that crossover, and draw a picture probably and actually number them just so I know. But all the other feeders have stick pins. Okay, so that's progress on the staging yard. So I'm gonna show you some other stuff that my dad has done in this past week while you and I were gone. So let's go take a look around. First up, the Como area. So he has got some plaster cloth down where we added this little narrow gauge bit. So it's gonna need probably a little more thickening up, but we've got something in place now. This is good. We gotta make a bottom to the creek because right now it's kind of a bottomless hole, but we'll get there. So this is good progress. And here's our Palisades and Kenosha Pass area. Haven't been here in a little while, Still needs more work done, haven't forgotten about it. But it's, you know, whatever. But what my dad has been doing is getting more fascia board put on. He's got it clamped on there right now. So, he's getting that in place. And that looks a lot nicer. Speaking of fascia board, this is our meat processing area. And my dad got more fascia board in place here. Kind of an awkward spot in the layout, but that will clean it up. Makes it look nicer. All right. This track underneath, that's the one that goes around the whole perimeter of the layout of the room. And while we're over here, you'll notice there's a signal on the right. That's designed specifically to catch elbows. So for the moment, my dad has added this piece of wood, a little protection, so we don't knock the signal over again. And same thing with this signal here. Not real pretty, but it protects the signal. And it reminds us that this is a little bit of a narrow walkway. And this is Jim's land, the cow fattening up facility area, cattle siding. And since my dad had the plaster cloth out, kind of filled this gap back here with that white back there. So that's good for that. And one other thing over here, you may not be able to see this real well, but on the right edge of the track, my dad kind of carved a gutter in there into our homegrown sculptable after it's dried, and we knew exactly where the track was going to be. He kind of carved that in. Gotta have some drainage. All right, so I just kind of laid down on the floor. It's kind of comfortable. I think I'm kind of done for the night. So, this is our little journey of getting this staging yard up and running. So, hope you enjoyed the video. Maybe you actually learned from this one, possibly. There's a possibility in this one. So that's kind of cool. Anyways, if you liked the video, hit the little thumbs up button. I would like that. So we'll catch you next time. Not sure what we're gonna do, as always, but it's all right. It's all right. Thank you. Thanks for watching. We'll see you later.